Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Worldwide Technology Gateway for the Gateway 156 here in the RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Design Ping, back after a 3-week break. My name is Leighton Norgard. Joining me is William White as race control and Carlos Acosta manning the cameras. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, we're doing good. Ready for to get back into the final few rounds of this development series here at Worldwide Technology Gateway. I'm glad we remembered that bit from Lime Rock Park last time out. Took a little break, of course. The 2003 Cup Series has started, and it's hijacked the Tuesday nights from us. But we're back for this week at Gateway, halfway through the playoffs, and we've got a championship still to fight for. So a lot of stories are on tonight, so should be a fun one.
Absolutely. We've got 12 playoff drivers here tonight. All of them have showed up. No one's missed out. But let's go ahead and take a look at the starting grid as qualifying has just finished, and drivers will start popping onto the grid here momentarily. And surprise, surprise, our pole sitter tonight is Gavin Hibbs, with Cale Pocock close behind in second. Both of those are playoff drivers, of course. Gavin Higgins in third place, Michael Hossack in fourth. Gotta have Gavin Hibbs and Higgins close by each other for maximum name confusion. Fifth place is Justin Vandermeerl and Frank Fody in sixth place on that third row. Caleb Pecumer in seventh, Brent Jones in eighth. Good qualifying run from him here in the top 10. Joe Francis in 9th and Andrew Hardcastle in 10th, final car in the top 10. Joe Francis is a playoff driver, Andrew is not. Dylan Javier in 11th, Austin and Nabnett in 12th. Austin is a playoff driver. Jay Connor 13th, Jaden Racimus in 14th. Sean Judson in 15th, Josh Clark in 16th, Dave Huckleberry in 17th, Harrison Talon 18th, Jacob Adams in 19th, and Pierce Hausler in 20th. I believe Jacob Adams may be the farthest back playoff driver in the field. Michael Goodman 21st, Mark Rebilis in 22nd, Kurt Gibson 23rd, Mitch Javier in 24th, and rounding out the field in 25th is Colbert. So 25 cars here tonight. Pretty decent showing considering it's the tail end of the season and we were off for 3 weeks. But yeah, looking forward to a pretty good race here tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely looking that way. We've got, of course, as you mentioned, a bunch of stories heading into the business end of the season. Justin Vandermeerl does lead the championship, of course. That top 4 will be fighting for the championship in the final race of the season. Gavin Hibbs on the outside looking in by just single points. But has swept all the road courses, has got another pole on the season. He's formidable. As he is in all the series, so he'll be someone to watch all night long as well. But as this formation lap does now conclude, those are the rookie standings. Mitch Javier leads by 14 points over Colbert for strictly stock, but that fight for second hotting up between Colbert and David Huckleberry. So still lots to play for at both ends of the field as the formation lap will come to an end in just a moment.
I don't believe Carlos Acosta is in the championship standings there. But yeah, so front 2 drivers here in the field. Gavin Hibbs looking to get into the top 4, make that final championship race, and Cale Pocock starting second, currently inside that top 4. So those two are definitely going to be racing for more than just the win here tonight. As they take the green, pretty even jump there. Gavin Hibbs behind Higgins behind Hibbs, already starting with that confusion. Basically bumper to bumper all the way down the straight. Cale with that outside lane through 1 and 2 doesn't quite, can't quite clear, or Hibbs doesn't quite clear him. He gets the run off the corner. It'll be tough to finish this pass around the outside, though. That inside is the dominant lane, generally speaking. But you can hold on the outside reasonably well. The car is apparently a bit loose, especially off of turn 2 tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers handled that. There were definitely some concerns about it being a bit of a push box or plow box, but and there's our first yellow.
Oh dear. So Harrison Talon snagged the wall there on the exit turn 2, but that wasn't the yellow. However, have to see on the
The
Robalix
9
replay.
of Jake Connor was involved in that. Playoff implications there. He is the 4th place driver in the championship.
Oh!
Oh, two separate
incidents there. Yeah.
Pierce Hausler and Mitch Avila, some Lake Norman and Lake Norman violence, and Jay Connor with a missing rear bumper out of turn 2 there.
So Jay gets into the corner, gets in the back of 57 of Dylan Javier. That sends him around. Pierce Hauser gets in the back of Jay off the corner. I believe Pierce had just been involved in an incident with Mitch Javier. So some heavy Lake Norman involvement in this incident here. It's going to be interesting to see the call on that once Will finishes reviewing it. That is not the start to this race that Jay Connor wanted to see. I don't think, none of the other cars involved were playoff drivers, so he is really kind of the other 28 of Josh Clark there is a playoff driver. I don't think he got much out of that. He is still on track. I don't see... He's got a little bit of rear bumper damage, but his front end is clean, so he's probably going to be fine. Yeah, we see there Pierce Hauser just getting in the back of Mitch Javier and then Jay Connor. So I think it's probably... My guess would be that we'll see a tally for Pierce. I don't know if we will for Jay or not, but that's going to be entirely up to Will once he has returned. But he is still reviewing that incident at this moment. While we have a bit of a pause here waiting for that, let's hear from our sponsor Design Ping. Design Ping is a design agency that specializes in creating websites and digital content that not only look incredible, but also enable your business to outperform all of your competitors. Make sure you check out designping.com to learn more. I believe we should be coming to take the 1 to green here. We'll see in a second if those lights on the pace truck go out. And can't quite see behind the tower, but I believe they did. So we will be forming up, 1 to green here. Lines are forming up. Cale Pocock's still in second. The top 4 kind of as they started still. Frank Foti has moved up a spot. Justin Vermel dropped a spot. Otherwise... Jane Racimus has moved up 4 spots into 10th place, so he had a good couple of laps there to start this race. But he is not a playoff driver, so he's just going for a good finish here. Still waiting on Will. Half a lap to the green flag, and hopefully these guys can get kind of settled in here and we get a pretty decent run here when we take this green. Pace car is off, waiting for these drivers to get into the restart zone. I'd expect to see Gavin Hibbs with a substantial jump here. And he does get that. Gavin Higgins with the advantage over Cale Pocock into turn 1. With the lead that he has, he might be able to clear him. Slides up. Yeah. Gavin Higgins gets that second place over Cale. Higgins is tied with Gavin Hibbs, actually, for 5th place. So both of those guys being ahead of Cale Pocock is not what Cale wants to see. as that would potentially knock him out of the championship four. But we do still have one more race to go before that championship four is decided with Daytona in 2 weeks. Of course, it's a super speedway. But yeah, these top three drivers kind of single filed out and pulling a bit of a gap over fourth place. Sorry, Michael Hossack was running the outside there and has kind of lost some ground. Frank Foti has gone by. Justin Vandermeer has gone by. Now the top, a lot of cars are basically single file. I believe that's Austin Namnett. That might be the first car too wide. Yeah, too wide with Josh Clark into 1 and 2 there. They are in 12th and 13th place, so the top 11 cars single file right now. Kind of a good omen for this being a decent green flag run here, as they are kind of settling in, it looks like. A little contact off of turn 4 with which car was that? The 89 of Brent Jones, but that's not going to be any damage, just a little bit of a slowdown. Will, saw your race control message pop up. You want to go over your call on that incident?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird one. We had the first incident with Jay where he had contact with Dylan in front of him and Josh behind him. They all kind of stacked up as Brent got into the back of Joe Francis there. Joe got a little bit loose, he was collecting it, caused a bit of an accordion behind. Jay just tagged the back of Dylan Javier, and that kind of shot him back, as I assume he stepped on the brakes as well a little bit, trying not to worsen that. And then Josh Clark, I think, was just caught a bit unsighted. So it seemed like an unfortunate kind of accordion effect deal. Pierce Hausler had his own separate incident that we saw with Mitch Javier, his teammate. Just got into the left rear of him, going through turn 1, then ended up hitting the back of Jay as well after he'd stopped. So both of those meant that he got a tally, his first one of the night, for that incident. But he's still in the pits though, unfortunately for him, in last place, but not parked yet.
And I see Jay is currently a lap down, but he is on track. It looks like his car is clean, so he'll be looking for a caution here to get that lucky dog and get back on the lead lap. Not the way that he wanted this race to go, trying to hold his spot in 4th place in the championship.
Yeah, definitely an early setback for Jay Connor there, not what he needs. Meanwhile, a fight between the two playoff drivers here, the two Gavins, Hibbs and Higgins, for, like I said, optimal name confusion here, but it's Hibbs that leads the way by just a couple tenths over Gavin Higgins there. Kel Pocock, front row sitter, now back to 3rd. Higgins pulls out the slipstream again. These cars really drafty, and while Gateway isn't a long track, it's got short turns, which means very, very long straights, especially down the back, so that slipstream can work to great effect. Hibbs slow, still working that outside nicely, crowding Higgins on the bottom, and he retains that position across the line. And I think that's going to be the theme really of this battle for some time, as Pocock and Frank Foti, who isn't in the playoffs as well, begins to close in now.
Yeah, I think until there's a bit more of a tire difference, if someone can save tires without losing time to them, I think the only way you're going to finish a pass on the inside is really kind of sending it into the corner and doing a bit of a slide job. Otherwise, that car on top is just going to be able to get that better run out of the corner and just get it back on the straight. That's doubly true further back in the field with getting draft off of cars in front, because they're going to be running next to the wall. The car on the inside, they're not going to have a whole lot of help with the draft, so that just makes the top lane even more strong. That's really the downside here in my eyes of the overly strong draft that we're seeing on most of these oval cars right now. I was especially prevalent in the 2003 cars last week at Indianapolis. Very much top lane dominant race, as it's kind of looking like this could shape up to play out the same way, at least as far as being able to defend on top.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we already see Gavin Hibbs just a fraction of car width higher there, late apexing, getting the exit out of turn 4, but immediately Higgins clawing it all back with the slipstream there. You see it come down exponentially, visibly as well, as we ride on board with the number 20. He's going to send it in deep here, but of course does have that turbulent air from the 96 working against him, running that slightly higher groove through turn 1 and 2. But again, you can visibly see, even on a short track like Gateway, just how much these cars close up right to the bumper of the 96. But I think, as you mentioned, Lynn, we're going to see something of a single groove race here today. Obviously, the inside is the place you want to go to overtake at such a short oval with acute turns, but when the top line works so well for defending as this package does, it's going to create essentially a stalemate. You see Frank Foti here battling Kel Pocock for third place here. Pocock does get a bit tight through 1 and 2. Now gets a bit loose there. Frank Foti's got half a car length on him, but Pocock clawing it all back and more with the side draft heading into turn 3. Little bit later on the brakes is Kale. They both track up ever so slightly. Vandermeer now entering the equation. But now side by side, the outside lane working there. Pocock does tag the wall, still winning the drag race though. And he's going to pull ahead of the 41. So that outside continuing to work.
Yeah, you couldn't see it while we were in car with Gavin Higgins, but Kale was right on the bumper of those front 2 cars and was looking to make it a 3-way battle, but he caught the wall off of turn 4 and lost a bunch of time, and that opened the door for Frank Foti trying to make that pass on the bottom, but just not able to make it stick with how dominant that top line defense is. Kale is going to need to kind of clean things up off of 4. He's getting into that wall 3 times in the last 3 laps. He can't keep doing that if he wants to A, avoid damage, and B, protect those tires. Same kind of deal, getting loose off of 2. We saw that big wiggle a couple laps ago out of him when he was side by side with Frank Foti. That's not good for the tires. That's adding extra heat, extra wear, and that is not what he needs if he wants to get back to these front 2 and take a shot at that race for the lead. The top 4 right now are all within the top 5 in championship points. Actually, the top 6 are all within the top 5 in points. Sorry, top 7. Michael Hossack in 6th place. 6th place in the race is 7th in points. So these guys at the top of the standings are carrying that over into the race here. They are desperately trying to make up some points in this race and get some a bit more comfort into a bit more of a comfortable position going into Daytona, where anything can happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And you saw multiple drivers within a point of each other, 2-3 points of each other. So it's still incredibly tight. We're halfway through the playoff phase, and it looks to be tracking that way. Again, Gavin Hibbs, 5th in the championship, but currently still leads this race. He's going to get a few points gained. Justin Vandermeer leads the championship by quite a margin, for about 10 points, but he's going to drop a few if it stays like this in P4. So they're all going to converge on each other heading into the finale at Daytona. So it's really going to get interesting. There's a bit of a midfield scrap going on here. This is Jay Connor. He's a lap down, trying to get his lap back here with a clean car. He's going to side by side with Josh Clark in the 28 going through 1 and 2. He's going to get that move done.
I just saw Kale getting the wall off of 2 this time, and that let Justin Vandermeer get alongside him into 3 and 4. Gonna have to see if Kale can make that defense work. He gets the wall again off of 4. That's gonna cost him some speed and that position. He was right back. Oh, he's fighting back on the outside. He was right back with the front 2 before that wall contact happened a lap ago. He's pushing hard, trying to get up to those front 2, but it's really costing him with some of the mistakes that we're seeing out of him right now. Both those cars kind of tracked up in the middle of the corner. They're kind of a good thing that they both did it. Otherwise, if it was just Vandermeer inside, we could have seen some contact and an instant there. But continuing to race side by side here. That's not going to be helping either of their tires out as we go. We are on lap 24 now. A fuel run here is about 58 laps, so with that early yellow, if we stay green, we should be able to make it to at least lap 60 on a fuel run here for the vast majority of these cars that did not stop on that first yellow. Kale does get the run off of 4 that time, pulls back ahead of Vandermeer, and we'll see if they can catch back up to those front 2 cars and avoid some mistakes as Kale gets very loose through turn 2 there, but keeps it together, maintains enough speed to stay clear of Vandermeer and resumes this chase.
Definitely torn the tires up a little bit, has Kale Pocock, forming something of a train behind him, both with that and with his fight, of course, with Justin Vandermeer. That fight that he temporarily has won. Vandermeer in chase behind him, and that's allowed Pacuma, Arsak 30, and Jaden Racimus as well to close up just a little bit. So that's your top 8 there on track, with Hibbs and Higgins all streaking away somewhat, with no moves really coming out of Gavin Higgins. I think he's seeing how much himself and Hibbs are pulling away. I think he's realizing that not fighting until later is probably more beneficial to the pair of them, because it means that if they do start fighting for position later on in the race, they won't lose as much from it. But Pocock is beginning to catch up now. That slipstream, I think, still working for Kale, as well as Vandermeer and Pacuma as well, all sticking behind the number 6 for the moment. Is helping them catch back up just a little bit. Pulling out from the slipstream now is Michael Harsack on Caleb Pacuma going into turn 3. Let's see if he can make that work, but I think it's going to be more of the same. Pacuma on the high side might get the run here coming out of turn 4, but there you see the lap time differential, sometimes mere milliseconds between Hibbs and Higgins at the front. As they run that time, Higgins a quarter of a tenth quicker that time, but Kale Pocock still closing in as he runs very high through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial for especially these front 2 cars of the second little pack here and 3rd and 4th to stay single file and not go side by side right now if they want any chance of making this a fight for the lead. It's the most important thing they can do is just get to those front 2 cars, the lead 2 cars, and turn this into a race for the win rather than a race for 3rd. It kind of goes against what, as a driver, you feel like you want to do. You want to make those passes. You want to take whatever position you can, but sometimes you got to make the smarter play and just kind of stay in line while you're catching up. Most of these laps, Kale Pocock and Justin Vandermeer have been faster than the front 2. Sometimes not by much, less than 10th, but usually they are. As we see a replay of Andrew Hardcastle and
Sean Hudson.
Sean Judson in 91. Yeah.
Yep.
Sean gets very loose through 1, 2, almost loses it, but saves it on that pit exit road and gets back on track. A little lucky that that wasn't a yellow. If it was if the timing was just slightly different, I think we could have seen one come out for that. With how touchy iRacing can be at times, but managed to avoid one there, and this green flag run continues now on lap 31, about halfway through this fuel stint.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky now because it's really a question of, do these guys try a fuel save? It's a decision that's going to have been made early on, pretty much as soon as that first yellow came out. You can't start fuel saving now and expect to make it to lap 63, which is the halfway point of this race, of course. But as we mentioned, the fuel tank goes around 58 laps. So to make it comfortably to the end of the one stop, you're going to want to pit around lap 67, which is extending a fuel stint by a full 9 laps. So I don't think these guys are going to try and fuel save. I still think the 2-stop is the way, just because I don't think you physically can make it on the 1-stop. But if someone does manage to do it, if they manage to eke out just drops and drops of that fuel and make it to a point where they can pit maybe lap 64, 65, and then extend just a couple more laps in that final stint, I think that could really play in someone's hands. If they manage to pull off a 1-stop, that could be potentially just a guaranteed win there. Certainly a gain of position, if nothing else, but I don't think they're going to have to save a total of 9 laps worth of fuel. They'll have saved a few under that first yellow, but I don't think it'll be nearly enough to then save the remainder of it under green to make it a 1-stop, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think any fuel savings going on near the front of the field, as Pocock now closing in on the front 2 again, with Justin Vandermeer tagging along behind him, now less than 7/10 of a second between Pocock and the leader Gavin Hibbs. Caleb Pacuma there in the top 5 is on something of an island, has got at least half a second either side of him, with his teammate behind him as well. A lot of single file racing, which tells me that unless something inexplicable happens, I think we'll see a slightly longer green flag run here.
Yeah, my gut says that just with the way the car is going to slow down over the course of a run, you could probably get to 60 laps on fuel without trying to save. And then with that yellow that we had, I think they'll be able to make it to at least 63 if they save even just a little bit on the second half of the run. And at that point, I think it's possible to save to the end if it goes green the whole way, but they're going to have to commit to that after a potential green flag stop here, the halfway point. I hope it plays out that way. That would be a very interesting way for this race to go. It's not the most exciting compared to restarting and having cars side by side all over the place, but strategically, that's the kind of race that I want to see here. Coming down to fuel strategy, and if you can make that work without losing too much time on track.
Michael Harsack very loose. He was very late on the brakes entering turn 1 there, as he is trying to get that position from Caleb Pacuma there. Jaden Racimus now joining the fight there, gets a nose on Harsack. I think Harsack drove it in a little too deep. We're going into 1 there. We'll see if Racimus can get the measure of him going into turn number 3. The fuel strategy that we've mentioned, it's the sort of race, it can be exciting, but it's the sort of race that you always want to watch but never want to be a part of. So I'm sure the 20 odd drivers that we see out there tonight do not want this to come down to fuel strategy, unless of course they come out on the winning end of it, then they'll be elated. But I think as a driver you always prefer the safety net of roughly knowing what everyone's going to do with their fuel and their pit stops, and the monotony of that. No surprises, no nasty surprises might come your way. But as we run now, there's been a big 4-car breakaway, starting with the leader, of course, Gavin Hibbs. He's just over 1/10 of a second behind Gavin Higgins, who's got a big run into turn number 1 there, but no dice there for the number 20 this time round. But Caleb Pocock and Justin Vandermeer have both caught the 20. And now it's a case of whether they all choose to work together to collaboratively pull away from the rest of the field, of which they've already done so by over 2 seconds now, or whether they try and start making some positions within that 4-car gaggle. We'll have to wait and see. We're a third of the way through the race. There's still a decent ways to go, but with green flag stops potentially on the horizon here, you'd have to imagine these guys will start fighting amongst themselves in just a little while here, as I think Caleb Pocock started to look there on Gavin Higgins, as we focus on the fight now for 5th.
Yeah, just before we went to the leaders, Gavin Hibbs had caught the wall off of turn 4, and that's what allowed Gavin Higgins to get that run into turn 1. Cale made a bit of a mistake by going for a move into one on the inside on Gavin Higgins, and that has allowed Justin Vandermeer to go around on the outside. Michael Goodman on pit road is he
He's been there
receiving
for
service
about.
or is he parked?
He's been there for about 2 minutes.
So not the way that Michael Goodman would have wanted this race to go. Not sure what happened there to cause that. Possibly a car issue, possibly real life issue. Regardless, he is already 3 laps down, about to go down 4. So effectively out of this race now. These top 4 were pretty close to each other not too long ago, but they've kind of strung out a little bit more. But 5th place is still about 2 seconds back of that front 4 pack. Just a couple of different trains right now with those front 4, and then 7, 8 cars behind them. Yeah, so I think it's about 7, and then Jay Connor. Really not the way that he wanted this race to go now. Still a lap down, but in 12th place on track. So we are seeing Michael Goodman come off of pit road now. So whatever happened, looks like he is rolling once again. But yeah, Jay Connor really would have been hoping for a yellow. He would still really benefit from one, but not seeing a whole lot going on that would really put us at significant risk for one. A couple side-by-side cars in the second pack here, both at the front of the pack, where Caleb Bakumer has passed Frank Foti, and towards the tail end of that pack with Austin Abnett and Joe Francis being side by side, but they've single filed back out. Frank went to take a look to the inside of Caleb Bakumer into 1 and 2, but nothing really happened there as they resume single file running. We'll see if Caleb Bakumer is able to run a little bit quicker potentially and drag the second pack up towards the front 4. They have now dropped another half second back from the lead 4. Now 2.5 seconds behind that 4th place car of Cale Pocock. Gavin Hibbs up in the lead has opened up a little bit more of a gap to Gavin Higgins. Do you think that we are seeing some differences in tires here, allowing these drivers to overpower that draft effect here, Will?
I think so, finally. Only 46 laps into this race, but yeah, I do think tyres are starting to come into play ever so slightly. Higgins, I don't think was pushing necessarily any harder than Hibbs, but of course he's been running in that turbulent air all race long. That's going to affect your front downforce, affect how your car is turning. Naturally, it's going to put more load on your front tyres to turn the same amount that the car in front of you is doing, so that will be chipping away ever so slightly at Higgins' tyre wear. Over time, I think we're just starting to see the effects of that as Hibbs will beginning to sort of incrementally eke out that gap, you know, half a tenth, maybe a tenth here and there. That draft gets weaker as that gap grows, and I think now Hibbs is starting to break away, especially through the corners here. Starting to gain, you know, upwards of a tenth of a second in each corner on Higgins alone. Of course, he gets that all back on the straight though, so still in something of a stalemate, but I think Hibbs does have the tyre advantage. For now, I think they'll start losing time when Higgins and Vandermeer start to fight here for position as they run absolutely head to tail here. Vandermeer now does look for the move to the inside of Gavin Higgins in to turn number 1. And they are now still absolutely neck and neck off of turn 2. As you see, the gap now goes to 8 tenths. Cal Pocock now having a look at Justin Vandermeer. Vandermeer closing that particular opening for Cal Pocock, and that allows Higgins to break away from Justin just a little bit here. Cal Pocock just having a look at a potential free wide move there, but nothing going for the 6th this time. But the gap now 8 tenths nearly to the leader.
Yeah, Vandermeer did not get the exit out of that corner. Turn 2 on the last lap that he wanted. He had to get out of the throttle to not push up into that 20 of Gavin Higgins. Definitely a bit tight on exit there now, as we see Kill Pocock not having a whole lot of trouble with it being tight so much as it kind of rotating a bit more than he wants sometimes. He's been taking more of a what am I thinking of? A higher entry and cutting down on exit to kind of, which is having the effect of keeping him out of some of the dirty air. Maybe that's helping him on tires a bit, but it's also turning more mid-corner to get that turn down for the exit. So balancing out to a net even, hopefully for him, but we'll see if Van der Merwe can get back up to the bumper of Gavin Higgins and set up another move. I think that's probably going to be the most likely pass that we see in the top four, with the way that he was able to get to the inside of Higgins. Just did not get the exit he needed a few laps ago to complete that pass. But that top four is pretty stable right now. The next pack has continued to clear Frank Foti. Frank Foti dropping back multiple cars now. He was the lead car. There are now 5 cars in front of him, with the 6th trying to complete the pass on him as well, and Austin and Nabnett. Jay Connor, one of those cars that has continued moving up. He is now 4th in line in that pack. Michael Goodman is also there. He's going to be on 40 lap fresher tires than these guys, so he's going to be able to be making some moves through these corners. Not so much on the straights. They're going to be kind of on even footing there thanks to the draft, but if you have better tires, you have to be taking advantage of them through the corners, and that is where Michael Goodman is gaining most of his time on these other cars right now, although he is 6 laps down as we currently run. Here on lap 53, going to be looking for pit stops here in about 7-ish laps, probably 7 to 8. Frank Foti almost gets up into Dylan Javier off of 4. Dylan catches the wall, kind of semi-unrelated, but Frank had to get out of the throttle heavy to avoid contact there. But that's just letting that pack of 6 in front of them open up more of a gap. Austin Nabnett did finish that pass and pulled away quite quickly. I'm not sure if Dylan Javier was ahead of Frank or not already, but it looks like both of those cars are having significant understeer issues right now. Colbert right behind them on fresh tires. Joe Francis also on fresh tires, a couple more tenths back. We have seen some pit stops with Joe Francis, Colbert, Jacob Adams, playoff driver that has made a pit stop already. So they have for sure committed to not attempting a one stop here. If there are cars that are able to make that work, that's going to make Jacob Adams in particular really suffer with committing to this 2-stop strategy, as he is now looking to go around the outside of Frank Foti. And underneath Dylan Javier, 3 wide for a moment there. Joe Francis also looking to follow through.
Further up at the front as well, Gavin Higgins still trying to defend from Justin Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe goes heavy on the brakes there into turn 3. Gavin Hibb's going to be loving this. Kel Pocock comes into the pits at lap 56. That's very, very early. So he's going to have to extend about 69 laps. Nice. To try and make it to the end of the race. So something tells me he's still committing to the 2-stop, but that is going to be something of a massive undercut there attempt from Cal Pocock. We'll see if that works there. You see on the 3-wide TV multicam, and coming down the pit lane now, we'll pull into his box. That's the bright red one. The bright red pit sign there. See his 4 tyres go on his tank, fill up the fuel now. Presumably the front 3 will react connect, at least at some point. But it looks like Gavin Higgins, and Justin Van der Merwe are still staying out, as Higgins and Van der Merwe are still side by side through turns 1 and 2. They are bleeding time to Gavin Hibbs behind them. They are in an absolute stalemate. They can't be separated.
I thought Van der Merwe was about to get the run off of the corner there, but he just kind of lost momentum right at the last moment. Gavin Higgins was not looking to have a good exit off of 2, but managed to pull that out. Keeping it side by side, does get the run off of 4. That's going to let him, I think, well, the side draft does not let him clear Van der Merwe into 1. They still are side by side. So I think the call with Cale Pocock there is going to be betting on a caution before the end. And with that undercut, it's going to let him clear, at the very least, Van der Merwe and Higgins. He might feel that he had used up his tires a bit too much and needed to get some fresh rubber on it to keep from losing ground to the cars around him. If you haven't pit by now, I think you almost have to try to go for that one-stop strategy. As you see Caleb Becumer come down pit road, lap 60, 65 laps is, I don't think that's going to be doable on fuel. So he was, I'm curious, I'm really curious if these guys are pitting because they're out of fuel or because they just don't want to run any longer on these tires. As we see Cale now going for that move on Van der Merwe and Higgins in 1 and 2, clearing both of them in one corner on fresh tires. That is, I think, Gavin Higgins just calling out that he's coming into the pits here. And Gavin Hibbs in the lead now going down pit road as well. That's going to put Cale Pocock back on the lead lap right about now. So Van der Merwe takes the lead. He will lead this lap. And we'll see how much longer he can go. At this point, for him, for his sake, I hope it's a couple laps at least to make that second and potentially final stint a bit more doable. It looks like he's coming down pit road now. So lap 62, not quite making it to that 63 mark, but I suspect we will see Cale Pocock in the lead once this cycles out. But it will take a lap or two for that to kind of cycle through, I believe.
Yeah, still got a lot of cars that are yet to pit. Michael Harsack now leads the race. Brent Jones just now cycles into second. Harrison Talon will take the final podium position. Andrew Hardcastle, Sean Judson as well. Mitch Javier, Kurt Gibson, Mark Robilas now comes in. Dave Huckleberry, Mark Robilas almost drops it coming into pit lane, as you see there on the multicam, but does get that gathered up. Andrew Hardcastle calls up that he's pitting as he's fighting with Sean Judson as Olden stays out. Cale Pocock now breaking into the top 10, so he has jumped Hibbs, Higgins and Van der Merwe, so he will reassume the lead of this race once this is all said and done.
Yeah, this pit road is deceptively tricky. As Mark Robilas did lose it on entry. Make some contact with the walls there, but don't think it will be too much damage. Avoids any wheel contact, which is the big thing. That wheel damage makes repairs just balloon like crazy. Jay Connor coming into pit road. He was on the lead lap now from staying out, but gonna go back a lap down. Hopefully he'll still be the lead lapped car and be eligible for that lucky dog, but still out on track. We've got Dave Huckleberry and who else? Dave Huckleberry. That's it. Still not having pit yet. He is in the lead and will be pitting this time around. He did pit on that first yellow, so that is why he was able to stretch it out a little bit longer. Josh Clark just came off of pit road and he is a lap down. So that's not where he wants to be as the 8th place points driver right now. Not having the race he might have been hoping for. He will get his lap back, I'm fairly sure, with Cale Pocock being on 9-lap-old tires now as he passes Mitch Javier. Mitch and Josh Clark both just going a lap down and both on their first lap on these tires. So we'll see if they can get those fired up and get that lap back on track, or if Cale will be able to stay in front of them and avoid that time loss from fighting with lap cars.
Definitely it will be interesting to see, as the gap isn't coming down that quickly, all things considered, between Cale Pocock and Gavin Hibbs. It's actually increasing quite a bit through the corners. Obviously, I think the tyre differential, as we saw earlier in the race, really isn't that massive. So 9 laps actually should be okay. I think Cale potentially using this as an opportunity to just save a bit of fuel, not necessarily in hopes of making it to the end. I think that's an extra, 10 laps of extending. I don't think anyone could do that without going a lap down, probably. So I think the goal now for Cale is just to save as much fuel as is reasonable, and to probably extend the second stint as long as he can, but definitely with no prospects of making it to the end. I think he is now banking really on a late yellow flag here. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think the only time that's really going to happen is probably towards the end of the cycle, or where cars with significant tyre disadvantages sort of converge on each other, come together. They potentially could collide with that speed differential. But even then, I think with how this is spread out now, the trend seems to be that once you get one green flag cycle done, and everyone spreads out, you typically can go green to the end of the race. So I think that is going to be working against Cale somewhat, but obviously it's a long way to go. Anything can happen. And he's doing quite well in the lead now, has a quite cozy 3-second advantage over Gavin Hibbs.
There are a handful of cars that pit late enough. They're currently 5 laps into a run, so they would have pit around lap 65, leaving 60 laps for their final stint. And those are Michael Hossack, Andrew Hardcastle, Brent Jones, Harrison Talon, as well as a bit further back, Dave Huckleberry. They can make it without stopping again. And if I'm these lead cars, a Cale Pocock, a Gavin Hibbs, Gavin Higgins, that makes me very nervous, because those three almost definitely need to pit again. And I don't know if you would regain enough time from pitting with fresh tires to overcome that second stop. So if I'm Cale Pocock, I want to see a caution anytime between now and about 10 to go, because otherwise I think one of those cars that stayed out longer is in a very good position to win this race.
Yeah, definitely. I like the call from Cale, that early pit stop that does bank on a yellow, because the yellow is never really out of the question. So I think to get yourself that significant track position, not only is it a near 3-second deficit, of course Hibbs is closing in slightly with that slight tyre advantage. He's also got 3 cars between him that at the moment don't seem like they're too intent on overtaking Cale. That's of course Clark, Rabilis and Javier behind Cale. So that's going to be traffic that if Gavin wants to get to Cale, which obviously does, he's going to have to work through to get to the back of that number 6, which is going to slow him down all the time. So there are factors working both for and against Cale. So obviously we'll have to wait a little while to see what happens with that. We're kind of in this awkward position of the race where strategy is very much up in the air. There's a lot of question marks, not a lot of answers. But there's a bit of racing going on behind here, and that's not what Justin Van der Merwe wants to see. Is that's halting his progress, getting back up towards the front of the field. Caleb Pacuma back into 4th. just about clearing the 48 of Josh Adams. Justin Vandermeer presumably wants to get past the pair of them and fast, as Joe Francis and Kurt Gibson are involved in this as well. Gibson, though, not on the lead lap, so not what Justin Vandermeer wants to be seeing in his pursuit of the top 3 once again.
Yeah, I think at this point in the race, it's, as a driver, you have to make a gamble on what's going to happen. I think Cale gambled on a yellow. Some of these guys gambled on it staying green. And the fun part now is we have to wait for another 50 laps to find out which way it goes. Joe Francis is side by side, is he? Not sure if
Yeah.
he's
Yes, he
actually
is.
side by side or not. Yeah, okay. With the 88 of Kurt Gibson. Not side by side anymore. Kurt does clear him. Substantially fresher tires on Kurt, although he is a lap behind Joe Francis. Kurt's one of those guys that would also, he's 10 laps in, would also benefit in a big way from this staying green to the end. He's a lap down now, but with these cars that pit a little earlier, needing to pit again, he would be right back on the lead lap, right back in the mix for a top 10, if not even a top 5. Jacob Adams, another one of those cars in a similar boat to Cale Pocock. He just didn't have the track position going in the pit stop, where he wants to see a yellow before the end, because he 100% is going to need to make a second stop here, and if that's under green, that's his race over, and almost certainly his championship hopes over as well, with him being 23 points out of 4th place coming into this race. And if it stays green to the end here, he'll be probably lucky to get a top 10, I would think. So a lot of things up in the air depending on how this race plays out from here in terms of whether we stay green or not.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of things up in the air. We see on the bottom of the multi-cam there, Gavin Higgins has got back past Gavin Hibbs. They were scrapping a little while ago, but not pulling away is the 20, and I fear the Gavin versus Gavin scrap might be rekindled here with just under 50 laps to go, which would of course be music to the ears of Cale Pocock, but I don't think they're going to start fighting. It's what Cale needs, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Both Hibbs and Higgins, they're quite smart drivers, quite methodical. I think they know that in the grand scheme of things they can't be fighting any more than what is absolutely necessary. Otherwise they'll just bleed time to Cale when they already have a tyre advantage, and they'll just be throwing that away. Meanwhile, just a few seconds behind them, this is your fight for P4. That's Caleb Akuma versus Justin Vandermeer. Vandermeer was looking for it going into turn 3, but no dice there for the number 80. He's going to look for the run off of turn 2. He's going to get one, but not quite enough, I don't think, to make a move down into turn 3. Still a couple tenths too far back. Jay Connor closing in as well, but he is, of course, one lap down in position number 20. He's simply trying to make up ground under green here. Not the race that, of course, he will have wanted. Went pear-shaped really from the off there, involved in an incident on lap 1. Further behind them, though, fight for P7, Leighton. We've got Jaden Racines on the inside. That's Joe Francis on the outside.
Yeah, Jaden is on much fresher tires, about 9 laps fresher than Joe Francis. Joe's really kind of suffering on the older tires from pitting a little earlier than a lot of these cars, losing the track position that he gained from that undercut. Austin Nabnick clears him. Dylan Javier doesn't clear him yet. We'll probably get back alongside through 1 and 2 and possibly clear off of 2, depending on how this works out. Not quite. Joe Francis will have the run down the straight. the way that wall cuts in always makes me so nervous as the car on the outside. Am I going to clip that corner where it comes back out to the normal wall position and send me into the car next to me? Just very uncomfortable. Joe gets in the wall right next to Dylan Javier, but controls his car very well. Does not really even move down towards Dylan at all. Michael Hossack taking a 3 wide, passes both of them 2 for 1 right there. Hossack, one of those cars I mentioned earlier that is in position to make it to the end here on this stint. So not only is he on faster tires, he doesn't probably need to stop again. If I'm a car like Jacob Adams or I would say Cale Pocock, but it's not impossible for Cale to make it. But if I'm Jacob Adams, I'm going to pit around lap 100 and fully commit to that 2-stop strategy and try to undercut for as much track position as I can get. If it goes green and there are more cars that need to take a second stop, he would probably benefit from being the first one to do it. But that's fully committing to that idea that it's not going to have a yellow before the end, and that's always scary.
Definitely one of those things that's going to play on the back of your mind while you're driving. It's of course totally out of your control as a driver for the most part here, and it's the sort of thing where as the laps wind down, you really hope that your end of the bet holds up and that you benefit from it. Otherwise it's going to be a long crawl to the finish line if you end up on the losing end of it, as cars continuing to tag the wall here on exit, especially turn 4. Both the over and understeer playing against these drivers as the wall's proving a little too close sometimes for these guys. But now we're inside 40 to go. This is Dylan Javier versus Jacob Adams for P number 9. Frank Foti, I think, involuntarily hurting his teammate there, just pushing the 48 along just a little bit down the back straight. But through turn 3, it's Javier that has a nose. Adams that will have the run here. And I think now Frank's going to try and push his teammate now past the number 48 here as they head into turn 1. Javier, late on the brakes, I think has got the move done, and he very much has. Frank Foti potentially looking to follow him through, and we'll see if Javier chooses to give his teammate the slipstream. Doesn't need to. Frank Foti already clear, so Lake Norman up 2 spots in just 1 corner there. Meanwhile, the fight for 4th still on here. Van der Merwe all over the back of Caleb Pacuma with just under 38 laps to go.
Yeah, the 48 of Jacob Adams really kind of had his line compromised with Frank Foti being a little higher than I think he was expecting him to be, and couldn't quite cut down as much as he wanted to. That really kind of took his run away and let Frank complete that pass out of turn 2. But looking back up at second place, Gavin Higgins working his way through some lap cars, passes Marco Biles. Mitch Javier is going to be up next. He is closing in on Cale Pocock. Gavin does have about a 5-lap tire advantage over Cale. I'm a little curious if Cale is kind of backing it down fuel saving now, because he has lost about a second in the last maybe 10 laps, I think. So with that kind of difference, I have to think he is sacrificing.
Oh,
and there's the yellow. That is
Michael Hossack. Hibbs
music
is in the
to
pit.
Pocock's ears. And that hurts Gavin Hibbs. Well, no.
Why is
Hibbs
Hibbs in
will
the
probably
pit?
come out in the lead.
Well, if he doesn't go a lap
He was,
down.
I think he was gambling on it going green and going for that undercut from not being able to make it to the end and needing a second stop. But Michael Hossack was involved in that yellow. Let's see what happened there.
Very early.
The 19
Jaden.
of Jaden Racines just gets into him off of turn 4. think I would want to see a chase camera view of that to get a better view of what exactly that contact looked like there. But we are seeing we're going to see basically everyone come down pit road here. Fresh tires, comfortable on fuel after this. Oh yeah, Jaden just goes up a little bit too much off of 4 into the left rear of Michael Hozak. That sends him around. That is going to effectively take Hossack out of contention for a good finish here in this race. It's going to hurt him in these championship points. Already 13 points back from 4th, so going to be losing a bit of ground there. Gavin Hibbs is actually still on pit road, so he is not benefiting from this like I thought he might. Not sure what happened with him. I don't see any black flags. I'm looking over his last lap on track, and he just comes down pit road, and that's it. I'm very confused what happened for him.
Well, while we have this chance, I believe we have another ad read, or do we go to commercial? Or do we have a commercial, I should say? But we don't have an ad read.
Let's do both. We'll start with hearing from our series sponsor. This series is brought to you by RevLimit Workshop, your go-to for pulsating designs at unbeatable prices. Need a logo or promo? Get yours for just $5. Want a full racing scheme that stands out? It's only $15. Contact us on Twitter to get your premium custom scheme today. And now, do we have a quick ad? On the green.
Okay, let me get that commercial queued up, guys. We'll be right back to conclude this race.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Go to WWTRaceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
All right, and we are back 32 laps to the finish here. Once we take this green flag, Justin Vandermeer and Gavin Higgins are front row. I'm not sure what happened with Cale, that he lost 2 spots there, but Justin Vandermeer took 2 tires. We'll see how that sticks for him here in these first couple of corners. Might see one of these cars able to make a move on the bottom if those left sides don't hold up for him, but so far through 1 and 2, just being up top has definitely worked out. Still not sure what happened with Gavin Hibbs, but he is now 4 laps down. He may just be parked for... No, he's on track. He's back 4 laps down. I'm very confused what happened there, but Gavin Higgins going for the move on the inside on Justin Vandermeer does not get that to stick. He does get back in line behind before Cale Pocock can take that outside away from him. Does dive it back down into turn 3. These guys are going to be driving hard with 30 laps to go. They don't have to go a full stint on these tires. They're going to be pushing them for everything they're worth.
The black flag for
Yeah, we're going to start seeing probably purple laps out of everyone. Black flag from Mitsubishi?
Yeah, he went down pit road, pulled it to a stop, and then took a tow. Or I think he just got out of the car.
Yeah.
Battle for the lead.
Oh, we're about to be 3 wide.
4,
Cale gets a big run out of 2. Is he going to be able to clear Gavin? Not quite. Gavin Higgins coming back. No, Cale does clear him. He might. Yeah, he's going to take the lead into one here if he doesn't down the straight. He needs to send it in this corner. Make sure that he gets in front of Van der Merel, and he does do so. Yes. Okay. And
dropping spots.
Higgins and Van der Merel are still side by side.
Now, I think what Kell needs to do is just hope that Van der Merel and Higgins stay side by side. He's really defending the inside, not letting Gavin take that opening, because Van der Merel is on 2 tires, so he's going to be just a smidge slower than Higgins. So if he continues to hold up everyone else, then that'll be music to his ears, but he's not really able to do that for the moment. Kell Pocock still in the lead, but only just. Van der Merel still sending it deep into the corner here.
Yeah, I don't think Cale wants to be giving draft to Gavin Higgins on the inside. Keep it on the outside. Do not give up that lane. Do not give draft to the fresher tires, the full set of fresher tires. And I think that's going to be his key to defending here and holding on to this this position. And it would be his second win. He's gotten his first win now in the 2003 series at Daytona. And the worst Cola 400, I believe it was called, the Pepsi 400 analog. But I don't know that he. I'm pretty sure he hasn't gotten an ARCA win. Am I remembering correctly on that?
I don't believe so either. He's come close. He's had a few podiums, that's for sure. Especially on the road courses, he's done very, very well, but not quite. Usually it's Gavin spoiling the party on the road courses. He's won all of them this season. Well, party brewer. But podiums, top 5s out the wazoo for Cale, but none in ARCA this season. Of course, got that win at Daytona though in the 2003 series. That would have put a pep in his step for sure, and will have helped the confidence levels. And already we're seeing the snaking. I was anticipating this, maybe not this early. 25 to go still, but of course with how drafty these cars are and how long the straights are, it's not a very long track, but that slipstream can be powerful, and you're going to want to do everything you can to maintain that position. I think at Michigan as well, when we're fighting for a title, it's going to get a bit nuts with the draft breaking. I think it's going to look a bit more like the Indy 500 probably than a stock car race, but we'll have to wait and see for that one in a few weeks' time. Cale Pocock, though, still holds the lead with 24 laps to go at the line here. Van der Merel just dropping off ever so slightly. Caleb Akuma will be giving chase to the number 80 now, as those 2 tyres just not quite as quick. But everyone's still really packed closely here.
Yeah, these front 2 are really opening up a gap on 3rd and especially 4th on back. But Cale is really not going to be feeling any better about that with how much pressure he's under from Gavin Higgins right now. Gavin's going to be pushing him the entire way to the end. If he wants this win, he's going to have to really fight for it because Gavin is not going to make it easy for him. You can always count on that from either Gavin, but Higgins especially can be an absolutely ferocious competitor here in this ARCA series. But yeah, we are officially on the to-go count on the tower here. So we are nearing the end, over 100 laps in, 23 to go, coming to 22. And Cale Pocock leading the way. He's going to be looking for those bonus points. Are there bonus points in the championship? I believe so, for leading the most laps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every point that he can get is going to be crucial heading into Daytona, because you never know what can happen at those super speedways. He could have a kind of race that Jay Connor's having, or he could be going for a second win at Daytona in this month. But still got 22 laps here to determine the rest of this race. And Gavin Hibbs back on pit road. I am very curious what happened there.
I don't know if there's technical faults, whether he really needs the toilet. Hopefully it's not a real life emergency of any kind. That would be worst case scenario, of course, but, well, I mean, he was right up there fighting for the points lead. That probably won't be the case, at least as much, at the conclusion of this race. If things stay how they are! Kel Pocock with a big mouthful of wall. Hope he doesn't have damage there, because it's difficult enough having Gavin Higgins right up the backside with clean car. I know that from about 100 laps at Bristol of him being less than a tenth behind me. That was terrifying. Last season, of course, but no damage, it would seem, on Kale's car. It's remaining as is for now. He's keeping that gap at a nice stable quarter second now is Kale. Just trying to see this off now, I think, more than anything else. With just 19 laps to go. Starting to pull a bit out now. Gained just a tenth and a half there in just a short burst of time there. So I think Kel Pocock's starting to get it done now, still snaking Gavin Higgins, following him all the way, knowing how strong the draft is though. At this track, it's not over yet by a long way. It's the fight for third now heating up. We've got 4 cars all in the mix.
Yeah, and Kale's going to need to avoid making any mistakes like that wall contact from here to the end. Jacob Adams, he got that yellow when he needed it.
Wreck in the front!
And is running at top 5.
Oh!
Austin Nabnett, Harrison Talon. We're still green.
I say.
Caution, caution.
Oh, now there's a yellow.
There's the yellow. Oh, and that's going to make this interesting. Do you pit here as a lead car? I would hate to be in Kale's shoes right now because
yeah.
everyone else can decide to pit if he stays out.
Looks like Michael's going to the wall down. I think that's stacked everyone out. We'll have a look here.
Hossack gets the wall. That sends Harry down into the 60 of Austin and Nabnett. Yeah, that's just unfortunate timing for those two guys getting caught up in something that they really had no control over. Harry kind of taking his time getting rolling again, but surprised that wasn't a yellow before any earlier than it was. We are seeing Gavin Higgins coming down pit road, Jacob Adams coming down pit road, Joe Francis, Michael Hossack, I believe that was Brent Jones, yes, but staying out, Cale Pocock, Jay Connor, Jaden Racimus, Caleb Cumer, Justin Vandermeerl. So there's going to be about 14 to go when we take the green, I think.
Guess who got his lap back?
And Jay finally gets his lucky dog. So yeah, 14 to green when we take the 14 to go when we take the green, if I say things correctly. And we're going to have some cars as quite a few cars as a bit of a buffer for these guys that stayed out at the front. But I don't know. It's going to be very interesting how the timing of this works out. Do the cars that pit have enough time to make up that track position to take advantage of these guys being on old tires? They are going to be cooled down from this yellow, so that's going to get a lot of speed back into them, but it's going to be an interesting run to the end here. I would not be surprised to see more yellows.
I wouldn't be surprised either. It's the sort of thing that can happen when you have restarts with such little time to go. It'll be 14 to go, as you say, at the line. Cal Pocock, unsurprisingly, chooses the inside lane there. For this restart, Vandermeer will go to the outside. Of course, Sean Judson is on fresh tyres. He's on 2 tyres. Gavin Higgins, the first car on 4, I believe. He's in 8th. So I think, as you mentioned, the tyres will get cooled down. That's going to put a few tenths of pace back into them. I think once things even out, maybe 11 to go or so, in terms of everyone's tires are now warmed up and that differential starts to come back, obviously in favour of everyone who pitted. I think the racing is so close, and you know, in the case of Gavin Higgins, he's gonna have 6-7 cars to overtake before he can even think about getting to Kel Pocock. I think, unless he really manages to string some really good moves together, like maybe 2 in 1 corner or something like that. Well, I don't know if he has enough time, but we'll have to wait and see on this restart. Of course, Kale has to worry about the likes of Van der Merwe, Pakuma, Racimus as well for his own sake, and less about Higgins. So he's got his own race to do as well.
And Van der Merwe did stay out, and he's on those 2 tires from the last stop as well. Kale gets a really good jump, easily clears Van der Merwe into turn 1. Kumer and Jaden side by side, very close together through turn 2 in 3rd and 4th place. Jaden with the slight edge there on the outside. Caleb is going to need to make some door-to-door contact there through 3, but they keep it going straight. Jaden does not quite get the run, a little bit of wall contact, but okay, he does have a little bit of a run over Pakumer. He is still holding on to 3rd just barely, but Pakumer is going to be able to take it here off of 2. Jaden does not get the run through that corner that he needed. Looking back, Frank Foti is side by side with Jaden. Where is Gavin Higgins?
He's dropped out. Yeah, he's lagged out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that is miserable for him.
I saw on the ticker he was down in, you see there 19th, but only a second behind. So I'm like, what on earth's gone on? I look in the sim, his qual is 20. And anything below like 98 is what kicks you out the server. That is torrid luck for Gavin. He's out of the race now because I think by the time he gets back in, the server will be done. So that is torrid luck. He was up to 5th.
Yeah, effectively taking his spot now is Jacob Adams on fresh tires. He is in 5th place. He's going to be looking to make these moves happen pretty quickly. If I'm Kale, I want more yellows right now because I think...
Oh!
Did Kale just get the wall? And there's that yellow.
Oh, God, that's a big one.
Sean Judson. Does
Brent
Kale
Jones.
hold on to it over Van der Merwe?
I
That's
think
going
he
to be
did.
very
He's
close.
overtaking. Yeah, I'm taking it now. Wow. Jeez.
I am going to rewind real quick and look at that turn 2
Sure.
exit because Kale lost a lot of time.
He does have damage as well. He's knocked his right front in a tiny bit. Oh, goodness gracious. He really knocked it down. He's pushing too hard when he's got a cushion. He's faster than Van der Merwe. He's only on 2 tires. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, big contact with the wall off of turn 2 for Kale Pocock. Lost a lot of momentum. Got really lucky with that caution.
Yeah, he really did.
Not sure exactly what happened with this other wreck yet, but Sean Judson and Brent Jones involved. 4 wide for that. Brent just tracks up a little bit too much. I don't know that he realized that they were 4 wide there, but that's enough to take those 2 cars out of this race. That's a lot of damage on both of them.
Would you believe it if I told you that Brent Jones did not get a meatball flag from this?
Oh, yeah. His wheels are attached, so I mean, if you get a meatball at this point, you're lucky if you're not just parked for good with the way the damage model is right now.
Sean Judson won the race off pit road under this last caution, so he was being aggressive. Not saying that's what caused the caution, but he was trying to get as many spots as he could.
Man,
we have an
Pocock
update.
Lucked out so much on that yellow.
Okay,
What's our update?
We have an update from Gavin. It just says Gavin, so this could be Hibbs. This could be Higgins. I think it's Higgins, or Hibbs. Excuse me. I don't know. Higgins, right? Yeah, I think it's Higgins. Power went out. So that was the update.
Oh, that must be Higgins.
Yeah, because it was very silent. Hibbs just
Miserable luck.
Hibbs just went down pit road. Yeah, that's right. Bad day to be a Gavin H.
Yeah, I think I don't think Kale has bodywork damage. It's just gonna be potentially that right front tire being pushed in a bit. That could hurt his speed. It could do nothing. We don't know until we see them go here, but he's got well, who's around him? Jacob Adams in 5th place on those fresh tires. Michael Hossack in 6th on fresh tires. I think Hossack will probably be able to end up ahead of Jacob Adams here. That'd be quite a comeback for Hossack after that incident that he had with Jaden Racines. But coming to the green here, Kale's going to be looking for as much of a jump as he can get. It gets a pretty good one. Jacob Adams is staying ahead of Hossack into turn 1.
Oh!
Caleb Kimmer gets very loose, 3 wide through the corner. It's so close, but just barely keeping it straight with Jacob Adams and Michael Hossack. Jacob really pinching Caleb into that corner up against the wall. Unnecessarily close, really, but Jacob up into 4th here. As much as these yellows help Kale with burning laps under caution, they are also hurting him by getting these faster cars, or fresher tires back caught up to him on these restarts. But Kale pulling away a little bit here, side by side in front of Jacob Adams. Kind of turns down in front of Caleb Bekima, gets the car sideways a bit, back side by side with Michael Hossack. That's not going to make Jacob happy. Little anxious about what he's going to do here with Caleb after that kind of move. Really sends it in, barely avoiding significant contact there. I think we're looking at a green-white checker here to finish this race.
Yeah, over the angry. I think Caleb thinks Jacob did it wrong. I think Jacob thinks Caleb did it wrong. They're in each other's doors there. 2 angry racing drivers, and they're 2 very quick angry racing drivers, and that's never a good combo in terms of any peacekeeping, that's for sure. 4 laps to go here though. Caleb Pocock continuing to pull away. Caleb and Michael Hossack now getting into it. They're 3 abreast here. Joe Francis is trying to get past the pair of them here. I think Jacob Adams now beginning to break away. Now looking after Frank Foti. Michael Hossack gets in the wall here, getting tight off the corner, trying to take all he can get. Biting himself a bit more than he can chew there, and all the while, Caleb Pocock breaking away here. 3 to go. Just stop hitting the wall, Kel, and you'll be fine. 3 to go here. Hopefully, for Kel's sake, no green-white checkers left, but wow. Looks like we could have a wreck at any moment. This is intense.
Yeah, Jacob Adams is really sending it into these corners. He's up into 3rd now, passes Frank Foti, trying to get around Justin Vandermeer. Every corner, it feels like he is on the very edge of wrecking with another car. But
I got a fun fact.
Managing to stay green 3 wide with Jay Connor, Marco Bilas, Jaden Racines. Jay Connor finally back on the lead lap after these yellows. Trying to salvage something out of this race, running in 9th place currently. He's going to want at least that 8th spot off of Marco Bilas. But Jacob Adams up into 2nd now. Lap and a half to go and a second to make up. I think you kind of summed it up. As long as Cale doesn't drive himself into a wall, I think he's got this one locked up. There's not enough time to make up almost a second and complete a pass with one lap to go. We take the white flag here at Worldwide Technology Gateway.
Miguel Pocock down the back straight for the final time. He was in the mix of the championship, was third in points coming into the race as Andrew Hardcastle hard into the wall at the end of the final lap. His teammate though, Cal Pocock, is going to come through turn 3 and 4 for the final time. He could well take the championship lead at the end of this. He's got a good cushion going into Daytona. Hard fought strategy, and Cal Pocock's going to win at Gateway. For the first time this season, he finds the checkered flag in the development series after his first elite win in the 03 Cup Series. He doubles his tally here at Worldwide Technology Gateway, and Van der Merwe gives him a celebratory left rear. Frank Fote as well coming along to celebrate. Mark Krabilas does a signature send into the inside barrier, and this will be a well-deserved set of burnouts for Cal Pocock.
Yeah, that was an excellent race at the end there. We didn't get the full strategy race that we might have wanted, but strategy still 100% came into play. Cale was in the lead because of that undercut earlier on, and yeah, that was a very exciting finish with the fresh tires trying to charge for the field and just running out of time there. Do we want to play a quick commercial here while we wait for these drivers to come into the waiting room?
That sounds like a fantastic idea, but before we do that, why don't we quickly go over the final race results?
Oh, yeah, I suppose that works. Taking the win, Cale Pocock. Jacob Adams coming back from a early pit stop that looked like it might not work to take second. Justin Van der Merwe, our championship leader coming into this race, taking third. Frank Fote, fourth. Caleb Pecumer, fifth place. Michael Hossack, sixth, coming back after a wreck towards the end of the race. Joe Francis, seventh. Mark Rabiles, eighth. Jake Connor, ninth, coming back after being a lap down for 80% of the race. Josh Clark in 10th. Jaden Racimus 11th. Dylan Javier 12th, Harrison Talon 13th, Kirk Gibson 14th, Dave Huckleberry 15th, Andrew Hardcastle 16th, 17th is Brent Jones, Cole Barron 18th. And rounding out the field, Austin Nabnett, Michael Goodman, Sean Judson, Gavin Higgins, Gavin Hibbs, the Gavinses, some rough luck there. Not sure what happened with Gavin Hibbs. Pierce Hauser and Mitch Javier rounding out our field here tonight.
Okay, we'll be right back after a brief break.
And we do have...
We still got to play a commercial, so we'll play a quick one, and we'll be right back with our interviews. All right, guys, 30 seconds.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers, and we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. Go to WWTRaceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
We're back.
All right, we are back, and we are joined by our third place finisher, Justin Van der Merwe. Justin, lighten up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do, buddy.
Very good race here tonight. You had that two-tire stop. Did you think that, or were you hoping, well, obviously we're hoping. Did you think you were going to be able to hold on to that lead with those 2 tires, or were you just kind of going for damage mitigation and maintaining track position there?
It was a little bit of both. So with the way 2 tires has gone previously in this series, I figured it would probably be a good call, and I only needed about a gallon of fuel. I had saved enough on the prior run and was hoping, those guys in front that were gonna run out. Took the 2 tires expecting it to kind of act the same. It did not at all. It was trying to kill me in a few corners. So not what I was looking for, but it's hard to get a run on people, and then if you trap them on the bottom, it's hard to pass as well, as you guys probably saw. So despite the tire disadvantage I think I was in, pace was still really good. Managed to keep it in P3 there. I wasn't really going to fight Jacob that hard looking at the points going into Daytona. So happy with the P3. It worked out, and we'll try and give him hell next week, or I guess in 2 weeks.
So were you able to make it to the end if this had stayed green and just one stop it?
Yeah, so when I pit on like lap 63, I think I was about a lap and a half to the good when that yellow came out. I think it was around lap 90 or so. So I was hoping for the, to go green to the end. I saw Hibbs pit and get trapped a lap down, so that really sucks. But it took a major play.
And you're back. And that made for a very interesting aspect to the race. Going into Daytona, you should still have the championship points lead. Are you feeling pretty confident that you'll be able to maintain that top 4 position and take your spot in the championship final?
It's going to be really tough, I think. So always having a plate race as the cutoff race is not something anybody looks forward to, I think. Unless you're one of those guys that, maybe on the outside you can just go full send and hopefully some of those guys get caught up in wrecks. So I'm going to probably play it safe. Me and my teammates, we need a good race to make it through. The lead's not enough to get locked in. So, yeah, we're just going to hope for the best and try and play it smart at Daytona.
All right, we do have a points update. You are 18 points ahead of 4th place and 27 ahead of 5th. So it looks pretty good for you at this point. But 2 weeks out to Daytona, we look forward to seeing you there. And congratulations on the run here tonight. Well,
thanks,
actually,
Layton.
I take that back. I don't take it back. But any shout-outs you want to give or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
I'm going to shout out Red Bull and Quadlock again, always on the car. John Cutlip for kind of prepping me for tonight. Trey Holmes is up on my spotter stand / crew chief, making some calls. And, of course, my teammates in Clark and Harry and Kurt Gibson. So shout out to all those guys, Field Up Racing. They do a great job in and out. Try to prepare everybody for week-to-week basis. Yeah, we're going to put a game plan together and hopefully come out strong at Daytona.
All right. Well, congratulations on the 3rd place again, and good luck at Daytona.
Thank you.
All right, and now we'll have Jacob Adams come up, and we'll have a word with him.
Jacob Adams, William in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So P2 tonight, obviously not where you ran for most of the evening, but strategy sort of fell your way. How do you summarize your night overall?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was lucky to even make the race. I was out and got home and got about, 4 or 5 laps of practice. So I really didn't have a feel for the car or the track here at all. Qualified 19th. Slowly worked my way up towards the top 10 and thought that's pretty much where I was going to run. And then I made the strategy call to short pit a little bit on the green flag stop and got some track position that way. Ended up falling back around to where I was running, and then we ended up getting some cautions where I was able to flip the strategy and get on some tires and drove up to 2nd. So it really worked out for me.
Yeah, definitely worked out quite well. You're still in with a shot going into Daytona as well. You're 7th in points, but you're only 14 away from Jay Connor in P4, so you do still have a way into the Final Four if things go your way at Daytona. But of course, anything can happen at a super speedway. How are you going to sort of prepare, and what's your kind of strategy and mentality going into that final race?
Yeah, being like you said, around 14, 15 points out or whatever it's gonna be, you really just kind of got to go and just try and win the race. I don't really see the sitting in the back strategy working. Probably just go and try and qualify up front, try and stay there, and just see how the points play out after that.
Yeah, it seems like the way to go there is make sure you survive. But before we let you go, any sponsors or partners you want to thank for another podium for car number 48 this season?
Yeah, I've got my employer, Marion's Pizza, on the hood. We're actually celebrating 60 years in business tomorrow, so it's pretty cool to go on the podium tonight. Any of my employees watching, shout out to them, and that's about it. You guys for the broadcast, and Chad for putting on the league, all the sponsors, and all that with the league.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on that P2 finish, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you at Daytona or at Michigan. But thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, and now we're joined by our winner tonight, Kale Pocock. Kale, lighting up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
So that's your second win in, what is it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
3 weeks. Yeah, I got that monkey off my back, and apparently now that's what I needed. Finally got that ARCA win.
So we were doing a lot of speculation up here in the booth about fuel strategy. We were pretty certain that you weren't going to be able to make it to the end. Were you kind of committing to a two-stop race at that point, or were you assuming that there was going to be a yellow before the end?
I was committed to a two-stop. I'm like, I'm not going to make it, so I'm going to short pit and try to jump those guys, especially when they were battling for second. I was faster, but I couldn't get around them, so I'm like, I'm going to short pit, and then I'm probably going to short pit again near the end if it stayed green and just hope everybody ran out. But I guess it kind of worked out either way. I tried to throw it away there right as the last caution came out. The car just didn't turn at all, and I pounded that wall.
Yeah, you got definitely got bailed out by that yellow that happened at the same time. Did you have? We didn't see any body damage, but did you have wheel damage or anything from that wall hit?
Nope, somehow no wheel damage, and the body damage actually didn't look terrible.
Oh, so you really got lucky there. You were definitely making a lot of wall contact throughout the race, just kind of pushing hard. Were you feeling confident that you could stay ahead of, at first, Gavin Higgins before his power issues, and then Jacob Adams later on as the run was coming to an end?
I wasn't sure earlier. The big problem with turn 4 is it's weird because the way the safer barrier sticks out, it looks like you got run the track out, and then right at the last second you realize, oh no, I'm gonna hit the wall. So that's why I kept hitting turn 4 wall, and the car gets super 4-wheel drift slided right there. So you just got to get that perfect. But I wasn't sure earlier in the race, and then after when Higgins and I were just gapping everybody, and I was starting to, right when the caution came out, the second to last caution, I was starting to get a little bit of a buffer on him. So I'm like, I got this. And then the caution came out, and then I wasn't even paying attention. I saw him duck to pit road. I'm like, oh no, this might not be good. And then I tried to throw it away, but I guess I earned that one.
Yeah, and so we've got Daytona in 2 weeks. The final race before the championship. I don't know if you've seen the points, but you have a 22-point buffer over 5th place. Is that about as good as you were hoping for, or maybe even better?
I think that was about as good as you could hope for, a win, or like I was shooting for another top 3 just to get that buffer. So the win definitely helps, because yeah, Daytona's just a crapshoot. So you could get taken out early and miss the playoffs. So I'm hoping that buffer helps.
What's your strategy going to be like? Are you going to go for the running in the back and just try and stay safe, or be up at the front ahead of the trouble? What are you thinking for that?
My strategy is always hang out at the back for most of the race, try to avoid the wrecks, and then go to the front at the end. I think this one, where it's more important to make the playoffs, I probably won't try to win. I'll probably just go for like a top 10 or just try to stay safe throughout the finish, which is a crapshoot in itself. But you can't just ride around a 20th on the last lap, and if they don't wreck, you're screwed. So it's gonna take a little bit of strategy there at the last few laps.
All right, well, we've got a week off, but before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
No, just thanks to everybody at Abbott and the team helping. They make me better, and hoping I'm making them better. So glad to finally start rattling off some wins for the team. It took me a while to get there, but hopefully we can keep it going.
All right, well, congratulations on the win, and good luck at Daytona in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
All right. I just realized we did not do race predictions at all, but that's okay.
I think
I picked
Kale
Kale.
McCoke might win
I picked
this race.
Kale. I picked Kale, personally. You just didn't hear it.
I would just like it
Yeah, my
known
mic
that
was
I was the
muted.
first one to pick Kale in the first ARCA race, so yeah, I'll take that one. But anyways, Will, final thoughts?
That was a really interesting race. It was definitely something of a slow burner. We had that green flag pit stop cycle. We thought maybe just might go green to the end, but even still we had that fuel strategy to worry about were people going to make it. Eventually it didn't come to that, but it got exciting in its own way. Those cautions near the end really spicing things up. We had the fights between Kale, Justin, and the two Gavins for quite some time for the majority of that race. Unfortunately, Hibbs and Higgins both ran into trouble, and the two-tire call didn't come off of Vandermeer, so it didn't fall to Kale Pocock by any means. He earned it, but definitely something of a process of elimination. But he absolutely capitalized and was a deserving victor today. Was very fast. That undercut proved to be the winning factor for him, I should say. Here, and he's been rewarded. He's second in the championship, only 4 points behind Justin Vandermeer. Heading into Daytona, he's got just about the best cushion he could ask for. So I think we'll see an interesting race at Daytona. As always with these Super Speedway cutoff races, it's about everyone trying to maximize the amount of points they get, and it often throws up some carnage. So it'll be interesting to watch next week, particularly before Michigan. But today was a really interesting race, and definitely something of a slow burner, but I think we were treated to a good one.
Yeah, you basically covered everything that I had for that. Carlos, anything from you?
Just a nice clean race, short and sweet, and these ARCA boys are going to get themselves ready for the next race.
All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for us here tonight. So on behalf of William White and Carlos Acosta, thanks for joining us on the Elite Racing Network, and have a good night. We will see you at Daytona in 2 weeks.